daughter did that for a summer and she decided she does not want to be a camping.
Yeah, it's
That'll
a
do it.
lot, it's a lot.
One of the,
How you
one of the kids,
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
It's been a little while. Aaron, your nameplate is here.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't know
We
it.
would, yeah. I
You
was proud
wanted
of
to be
that.
there or?
No, it was my first summer here. Like, it was
How are
fun
you?
for the first, it's,
Yeah.
it's
Good.
fun for the first like 2 months, for the first month and a half, and then after it starts to drag, and
Yeah,
then like.
he does that one.
Listen, there were definitely rewarding parts, but
Hey, Thomas.
process.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good.
How are you doing?
When they were walking.
Hello, Matt.
Hey, Jim.
Nice to see you standing still.
One of the kids.
One of the few times.
Yeah, some kids are like.
Unless I'm driving.
Oh,
We're not allowed.
Everywhere.
running.
All over.
Yeah,
Well,
I like it.
running's one thing.
That sounds like a problem we have, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
But yeah, it's some kids have to have your own shoes and we, I've kind of mastered that, kind of like overdoing that, I feel like,
At
but
least I'll be
yeah, it's a lot,
seen
but
behind the
it's fun.
curtain.
agendas.
And I like being kind of involved, so.
There's a, how you doing?
Good.
Second.
Thank you.
I just wanted to grab the mark presentation and the share. If it's not.
It should be, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Oh,
Eric?
I have it on my computer too.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I can.
Voting here. Nice.
That's when the event should be on ours.
I did that.
Do we have any attachments for today?
I failed.
We do.
Just a.
No, I put it in for you.
Oh, there you go.
Jen saved it.
Yeah. Hi, Bill.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
And I'm going to start the recording in a second for you.
Very good. Hello, Mayor. How are you? Thank you for coming out. So, thank you.
Quentin, we haven't met, but I just want to say it's good to have a Burl sitting here.
Nice to meet you, yeah.
Yeah, good to meet you.
A kindler, gentler, nicer,
Well, he's more qualified. He's planning. He's not an architect.
better looking.
Yeah,
He's got
yeah,
everything going.
Yep.
We got all the things.
Did all the commission members get this in the other piece that I was handing out?
Yep.
Yes. Thank you, Aaron. How are we looking, Bill?
You should be good, Jim.
Very
Just
good.
handle it normal.
Okay. Okay, excellent. All right, I'd like to call to order Borough of Westchester Planning Commission work session meeting for August 18th. Today we have Alan Burke, Thomas Doherty, Quentin Burrow, Matt Clapp, myself, Jim Cherry, and Aaron Look is here as well, Director of Building and Housing. Okay, are there any announcements? Anybody have any announcements? Any citizens' comments? Citizen? No pressure, but, okay, very good. No reports today. I'm gonna go ahead and switch the new business for the old business. So we're gonna start with the 410 South High Street presentation by Pete Stas. And I have to find your presentation. Let's see here. That's on the side. We're looking at it. There we go. It's running a little slow, but I'm trying to get some of this stuff out of the way. Let's see. Actually, have me with that full screen. Okay. I don't know if that's being shared. I'm assuming it's being shared, Pete. So you did a similar presentation at the Smart Growth, and I guess I think it would be helpful if you're just gonna kind of take a step back and then walk us through how and why we're at this point now.
Sure. I'm assuming not everyone has heard of this market presentation. So I'll save you the time if you did. But,
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
No,
I'd have to-
correct, you were.
it was online, so I just was double checking. So, and I'm happy to go through it. So as everyone is, Quentin, you may not be, because maybe your dad told you, but we are in the court systems for, so we submitted and were approved on a RV plan some time ago. We got appealed. And so just regretfully, it takes a long time. We went to the local courts, one on two of the three positions. They sued us actually in the two we won, even though we lost on one. So they turned around and sued us in the borough. So we're going to state this Commonwealth Court, and that's scheduled for September, October. They gave us 2 dates, it's a range of dates. Depends when the judge's schedule and how all that works out, but it'll happen on those range of dates. It could be reverted back to the borough. He could, there's 3 judges on the Commonwealth Court. We expect that it'll probably revert, he'll make decisions on those 3 points. They will make decisions on those 3 points. And then we'll finish the submission on our other plan. We expect to get sued on that. No, just because that's kind of what's been happening, is they sued us pretty much on everything. So we just anticipate that'll happen. It could be a 2, 3, 4 year process to get through all that. Maybe not, but so the reason I'm giving you that background is about a year ago. So let me just step back a minute. We're considered the equitable owners of the land. So what that means is we signed an agreement with the landowners, which was like a 5-year process in itself, because they originally wanted to do a Wawa, they wanted to do all kinds of stuff. We're like, the Wawa is not going to work here, and because we had done a code review, and they weren't quite sure, and they wasted some time with that. And they came back to us and said, we'd like to do a mixed use apartment plan. So we basically have a partnership agreement and we basically have the right to develop that land as apartments. And we have that in perpetuity, so we can continue fighting this for a long time and do all that. Not that we're enjoying that. But so we went to them about a year ago and said, before, it's not really, we really enjoy the development of a mixed use project here. We think that would be, that was really what we were passionate about for this site. But they're older. Like, it's not probably my position to tell you how old they are, but they're in retirement, and we're like, it's gonna be quite a bit of while until you get paid on this, if it's gonna be in the courts. So would you consider townhomes or something to that effect? And they looked at the analysis on it, and there's a whole bunch of different tax structure when you sell versus when you don't sell, for the developers and for the landowners. And they were like, a year ago, they were like, it's just not, that's not what we signed up for. It's a considerable less outcome for us financially, particularly because they actually are the the brother and sister of the fella that bought their dad bought this from the RDA. When it was sold by the RDA when it was a school.
Hmm.
So they've owned it for a long time. So we said, okay, and maybe about 4 months ago, George and I looked at each other and said, let's reconsider this. So we went back to them, and after about 90 to 120 days, we got to an agreement with them. And what they said was the benefit of them going in this direction is time. And what they said is, Pete, if there's a way to get this done in a timely fashion, we would consider it. Like we would work with you guys on that. So we're in agreement with them to pursue this if we can have it, if we can get it approved and on its way in a timely fashion. And I was trying to explain smart growth, what that means. And I know recently you guys just put a townhouse project through in like 4 months. This involves probably some level of the text amendment, so I think 4 months is pretty fast, but like if it takes too long, the issue they have is we're plowing money into defending the court of the appeals, and all that affects their land value. So at some point, they kind of reach a point of diminishing returns. So the timing's important to them. And so and for us at core, it's a lesser outcome financially, but you know, it's time's money, and we still think this can be an incredibly beautiful project, and we're excited about it. And we're here today to talk about it. So that's I think that's just an important background of how we got to here. Because actually, when I walked into Smart Growth, someone looked at me and they're like, why are you doing this? So that's why. So the plan. So this has evolved over time. What we originally kind of started out with was a road through the middle, running from Price Street to Dean Street, and we had townhomes on either side of it. And kind of listening to what I heard everyone talking about with the townhome push for some of the things that you're looking to change in the zoning for making townhomes more approvable in Westchester Borough, period. We kind of evolved to this, and what you're looking at is it might be easier just for me to stand up here to explain it, but so so this is Boxwood Alley, and what's really nice about this is, as you probably recall, Boxwood's a 10-foot wide alley, where this would now become 18 feet. So we're leveraging into current access curb cut, and you would drive up through here. This would be a dead end street. So there's actually that black little line is supposed to be a brick wall, and it would be like kind of a design feature. So it might be a like waist height or something you can see in, but we really haven't designed it to that level. Like, are we, you know, we have a bit of a site plan that we put together, and my civil he kind of took it upon himself to put a little walkway in there. I don't know if that makes sense. We just haven't designed it yet, but that part of it, but and then you would drive around here, another dead end up there, and then you would come through here and then exit on the Dean. The way that this is designed right now is these are roughly, these are 18-foot or wider driveways. So we did kind of lay this out so it would be one way through here. That's two ways, but one way through there. So when you look at the, in the landscaping plan, we gave this to, Patrick Stewart. I showed him what we originally designed for the landscaping for the apartment plan, so I don't know if this is actually designed exactly to that, but he had that. He had about a week to put it together, so, but we would continue the landscaping plan that was designed for the apartment building on the sidewalks, and then, we tried to find opportunities inside of this. So I'll get to some of the landscaping opportunities there, but, I'll explain the units really quick. So these are 3-story townhomes. What you're seeing at the top is, a unit. And again, these aren't like fully designed, but we had, what is thought out here is the size and the footprint of them. And to do that, you kind of have to think about your floor plans a little bit. So what would happen here is in the attic space, could have a master bedroom with its own balcony coming out the back, which I think is a really cool feature. So these are single family, attached and detached. Aaron helped me with that to figure out what the zoning is, what it's called in zoning.
Technically, in the zoning, townhouses don't exist. Semi-attached and semi-detached and attached.
Yeah, and then these are also the same here. I will note to you, in there, I have it in my notes, one of these is 37.5 feet tall, the other one's 37. I can tell you when I get back to my notes. I will tell you that there are some, as you know, there's a lot of grading challenges here, so like one of the lowest levels, one of our lowest grade points is down here, and that's the highest. So you will have, in some of these units, you're gonna have like the slab will be here and we'll pour the wall coming down. Like along High Street, we might have like a 3-foot wall, but it's, when you see it, we'll put brick on that. So it'll look like a 37-foot building that's 3 feet longer below the slab. So when you come up these stairs in the front, you go up 3 feet onto a landing and into your building. But it's important to us that it would look when you look at it from the front, it would just look like that's basement space, or it wouldn't be a retainer wall. It's acting like a retainer wall because it's retaining some dirt, but it's not gonna be built like a retainer wall. It's actually gonna be part of the foundation. And as you get, these are all like grade over here, and then these over here come out of the ground a little bit more because this is where some of our most challenging grade points are. And we'll have some conditions because you gotta step, as you come across the property, you have to step down to get to this low grade point. So like these garages over here they might step down 2 or 3 feet from living space. So when you walk into the garage, it'll be 11 feet high. And so.
So can you clarify with the do the dwelling units step? Do they each step with the grade, like let's say on high?
They step that way too, so
Okay.
when we're working our way up price.
Each dwelling unit.
You're gonna be stepping that way. Some of our like we're at an 8%. Don't quote me on that because I don't have it in front of me, but it's roughly an 8% grade up to here, and then when you get up to here, it's relatively, it's less grade. This is because of right here, that's your most challenging grade, but so here these would be stepped the most. So like there we'd have a retainer wall coming out here, and because it might be a little bit higher than, at some point you have to put a railing on it. So these might be like 2 or 3 feet right here. This is like our most challenging area.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I can't move that. I can't move that. I can't move that. Can't move that. So I gotta. So I'm jumping around a little bit, but these are they're called two-family, semi-attached and detached.
Semi-detached and attached.
So what happens, I'm gonna jump back because I wasn't clear, like, so in these single-family homes, both cars, there's one unit in each, and one family in each of these, both cars park inside in the garage. We're showing like 10 foot of extra space there. We had it, so we showed that. We thought it would be some opportunities to do some landscaping, whatever. That's not a place to park cars. Here, these are the two families, and what happens is, I'll explain this, the floor plan first, but on the first floor, you have garage starting from the back. You have garage back here, and then the unit one has this front part, most of the front part. And then on the second floor, they have half of the floor space. Then unit two has half the floor place on second floor, and then all of the third floor. So you end up with like a 2-bedroom, roughly 1,300 square foot unit. And then you end up with a 3-bedroom, almost 2,000 square foot unit. What we like about these is, it creates what I'd call a little bit more attainable new house in Westchester. And when I was explaining the smart growth, like, because someone asked how much they would sell for, those smaller 2-bedrooms, again, which are roughly 1,300 square feet, might sell for almost $550,000, which sounds like a lot of money. And then the upper ones might sell for like 675, like 675, 700. And then the single family might be like 850. Just keep in mind that like new construction the average home sale, and Bernie actually corrected me during the smart growth meeting, is now 640,000. Or that's the average median sell price of a house in the borough. And then he also brought up another point, it's a new house, so the cost of ownership's a bit less than buying the used house, so. And then some of the opportunities in here is we would try to meet as much of the rec space as we could. I think when we did 5% before on this site, it was over 3,000 square feet was required. We would have, I believe, I know that there's been a lot of work on what is rec space. So I'm not fully up to speed on what's considered rec space, but this is a public space and it would be on the corner. That's not 3,000 square feet. So we wouldn't hit it. We'd have to do some of the loop in lieu of.
Yeah, how many square feet is that guy? The interblock
The
courtyard.
courtyard.
I don't know. I can, but that potentially could qualify as, again, I haven't looked at the code close enough to know if it does, but the front of these houses face towards this courtyard, so this will be a really nice opportunity to do some really cool landscaping. We tried to find all the opportunities we could in here. This could be like a different material just to create a nice feel back here behind the garages, here. And then we did show here, it's kind of hard to see, but we showed like a stoop and some planters in the front of the homes on High Street. We didn't place them on Dean in Price, but that's not because we don't want them there. We just didn't put them in the drawing. They could be there. And in fact, we would have to have stoops on those. It's actually a flaw in our drawing because you have to be able to exit the building in front. So, but we tried to show an idea of what that could kind of look like. But we haven't really, we have a rough grading plan. Once that grading plan's finished, then we would show everyone, okay, here's how many steps we have in the front. Here's what maybe a stoop could look like. Here, maybe it's just a small front entrance, like maybe you're just coming out to, if it's not like these are right at grade over here, so maybe you just have one or two steps and you're on the sidewalk. And you put a couple planters out there. Most of this along here is 2 or 3 feet above grade. So again, maybe it's just a handful of steps. Once you get to, I think, above 3 feet, you have to have a landing. And these would need landings over here. George, did I miss anything?
Yeah, you were gonna describe how they park in the stack, and then you went somewhere.
Oh, yeah. So what happens in the stacked is each one of these units parks 4 cars. So you have 2 in the garage and then 1 car, 2 in the driveway. So one of the units gets 1, 2, and then the other unit gets 1, 2. So when you walk, well, actually these would be a condo building. So, because you have 2 families living and owning a house, they'd each own their part of the house, but they'd have shared roof and shared front. So, there'd be a wall down the middle so that you have your own garage, but then you have a second parking spot. And that's one of the things that when we were doing the code review, it's interesting. I didn't realize that you had updated the stacked parking regulations, but the stacked parking is allowed in single family, attached, semi-attached, detached, but it's not allowed in 2-family. So we would need to add that to the text amendment or some type of code change or whatever. So lastly, we have not designed the exterior of the buildings. But I would tell you that we're committed to, brick's kind of a big thing in Westchester. We got that hint. So they would be brick fronts, probably fiber cement around the building. I'm assuming everyone's familiar with that material. But that, it could look just like lapboard, old wood lapboard, but it's fiber cement. So it looks just like wood, but it lasts a lot longer, more durable. And we're very design oriented company. So like we would try to pay tribute to the history of Westchester and the really cool architecture that's here, but you can't copy an old building. So we try to pay respect to it using the right materials. So maybe it's a black window, maybe the way the windows are divided, paying attention to the sills and some of the features on the building to make it really a very nice development. So what we are here to, what we wanted to do is share with you what we've come up with and get some feedback from you. And then I did mention a text amendment. We know that the staff parking is required to our understanding, unless Aaron tells us differently. But our idea would be to come back to potentially next week with, assuming that you guys have some interest in pursuing this, we would come back to you with some thoughts on the proposed amendment.
Okay, very good. Aaron?
I just want to introduce something to you guys, something I've done at most of the places I've worked with. When a developer comes in and sits down with me, and requests basically what's called a sketch review, which is what we're basically doing here today. This isn't a preliminary review. This isn't a formal review. It's just basically to get some feedback and to get some stuff. I do the same thing with them. I created a sketch zoning review, which doesn't specifically say yes or no to anything, but just it points out some of the things that might be of interest and might help the planning commission to make the final zoning. So it works as a staff report to you guys also. In this regard, it's 1.2 acre and restaurant is what it's at right now. And you'll notice the first page is uses. Principal uses are by right. which means they are allowed by right to not have to do anything special, no special exemptions, no continuous use. If you go to the second page, you will see that single family and two family, semi-detached and detached homes are allowed by right. There's a reason why we're making sure that we made a big deal about saying semi-detached and detached housing. Because it is by right. And the big issue with that is that there is a note in the principal use charts that charts residential uses not permitted on the first floor of the TC district. That is for a mixed use building. You cannot impose that type of a note on a use that is considered by right. So that note does not apply to this type of a development.
I just want to say I'm so appreciating that clarification. I have brought that up over the years, this discrepancy between use and type, and that we have in other places too, this same conflation. And so I really appreciate you making that clarification. I've tried to make that case in the town center for years, so
It's
yes.
very important to understand the definitions first.
Yep.
You pick the definitions first and then you look how they apply. You cannot have a note like this create a conflict or to pass something that is permitted by right. That is only allowed in in mixed use. So if you had an existing building that you were going to be doing residential, you come back and retrofitting it, then that first floor has to be.
That makes complete sense.
All right, on the you go through here and it'll break down the basic zone. It has copied straight from, literally just cut and paste from our zoning, the requirements on the design standards. One of the things I do want to bring up here, and it'll come up later, is that there is one that says no new curb cuts shall be permitted. There's a question on that I want to address here at the final page. Then you get into the definitions. I put in here the definitions of buildings that are going to be used. And it's very important that you understand what a single family attached, single family detached, and a single family semi-attached. None of these are going to be detached. Just straight detached. They are semi-detached or attached homes. That is the actual name for a townhouse in our zoning. So I want to make sure that you understand that because it does come back to that note and whether or not that note applies or not. And the last one will be considerations. First note I put there is it goes in and explains why the residential uses not permitted in TC are not applicable in this use and this type, because the building type is allowed by right. The build to line is a concern because there is some question as to what the meaning of match existing adjacent setbacks is, something that this planning commission is trying to address. And we'll get into that a little bit more later. But that could be a potential thing that is a concern that might be addressed in some form of relief for that. The design standards for the TC do not allow for new curb cuts. It is unclear as to whether that means that you can't eliminate the two existing ones and just put into other cuts, or it's just no new ones, you have to stick with the ones you have. And that would be something that might have to be addressed for some sort of relief in this regards. Just for a clarification on what that exactly means in the zoning. And then stacked parking is allowed for single family semi-detached and single family attached homes, but may not be allowed for two family semi-detached and attached homes. We need a clarification on that as to whether that needs to be addressed for relief also. But just looking at the zoning right now, those are the 4 things that might be pulled out as considerations for zoning approval. And of those, the biggest one to me was the one that I wanted to make sure you understood too, were the curb cuts and the building to front yard, building line for front yard. In my opinion, the TC not allowing residential uses on first floor has already been solved by the fact that it is allowed by right. And if you look at the definition for semi-detached and attached, it says that it is designed to be used and occupied exclusively for residential uses. So that means you cannot have any of.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, right, yeah.
So that's kind of what takes away that note.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what I wanted to bring to everybody's attention, just so that there were any questions in regards to that. Apologize for taking up your time. I just wanted to explain.
Oh, appreciate it.
This is amazing.
This is very helpful and much appreciated, especially at this stage in the process.
Exactly.
Be able to have something to.
You didn't
start
pick up
as a
our
starting
time, you
point.
saved us.
Yeah, exactly.
We're digging on our own.
There still has to be a full review and
Oh,
make sure
sure.
that
Yeah,
there's not
yeah.
little things that I'm missing and so forth. But this is just a sketch review,
Yeah.
sketch drawing. This is basically just to give an idea both to the developer and to the commission, what could be the most likely issues that would arrive from this.
Sure. No, I think outstanding. So I think we're going to go around the table relative to the planning commission and provide some comments. I think in a big picture, Pete and George, I think this is much more consistent with the type and scale of developments that we're trying to encourage in the borough. I think the offering of multiple types of houses at different price points is very encouraging. As far as the count, there's 42 total homes here, which is, and there's 84 off-street parking spots.
Yeah.
Mhm. So I'd like to, Alan, do you want to start?
Sure, I was under the impression that retail was required in town center, but
Okay.
I'm still recovering from realization that that's not the case. No, my overall, reaction is it's 180 degrees from what we've been looking at. It's not our dream come true, but it is certainly much better than the things that we've been seeing there before. I think it's a real step forward. I appreciate what the applicant's trying to do here, and I'm very enthusiastic about it. As time goes along, we'll have to, look at certain issues, but I think it's a massively better plan than what we've dealt with in the past.
Very good. Thank you. Colin?
Yeah, I'm also just really enthusiastic about this plan. Obviously, we're looking at a plan, but we're looking at something that's the same size, so comparable, right? Here are our semi-detached. Yeah, I almost want to like zoom out a little bit, but like you can see how it fits into the rest of the fabric of the borough so clearly from a rooftop point of view. Can you go back to that? Just to compare it slightly to the previous plan, there wasn't that fronting of Dean Street in the way that it is, right? Like we're gonna have front doors and front steps on all of these surrounding streets. The issues that we're so concerned about with height, when it's a massive building, that becomes hugely problematic, and you're talking about these attached and semi-detached dwelling units stepping with the grade. This is I feel like everything that we were talking about, even the brick wall, I feel like that's a piece that's so often not built anymore. It's hard to build it in the NC districts, but what an amazing piece of design that we do see in the borough. I think of the tall brick wall at Marshall Park. I think of, you said waist high, maybe also take it a little higher. There's another, if you go another like maybe block on Walnut, there is a beautiful garden wall that's also probably 6'6" or something like that. Solid brick wall. And then if you walk down Gay, right across from St. Agnes, they took it down. Hopefully they'll put it back up. But there was an arched opening, like human scale, right, 3 foot wide. An arch to walk through. So I think there are people that might walk out through the back, maybe make that a permeable entrance, right? Maybe even consider in that brick arched opening, you're walking down High Street, or if you go past St. Agnes, there's an even better example. You go down the street on Gay Street, there's a brick arched opening, and you can kind of Danish, maybe, there's this great little, it's the kind of thing, like, you can't build it anymore, there it is, right there.
Oh,
Right, just a fun little moment, and these things used to be part of developments, but just picture like that kind of entrance to this townhouse community that you're building, and it's
So what's nice about that is we got right into pedestrian access,
100%.
because I wasn't sure. We just hadn't thought about it.
Sure.
Like, but I'm sorry.
No,
I was just saying, like, we hadn't thought about that. Like, do you wanna? It would be nice to have a pedestrian exit, entrance or exit there, but how do you do that? You know, like, that's nice too. It's just a little bit of a gate on it.
Right.
And the reality is there's some college students walking down that street. It may be nice to put a gate there.
Sure. Right.
But, you know, again, we just haven't contemplated all that.
Yeah, so I just,
It's not a gate that stops you from, I think it's
That's right.
important to see it. And so you can still appreciate
Right here,
the
right?
development, but doesn't give someone that at 2 o'clock in the morning a chance to walk in.
okay, one last comment. Do you mind going back to the plan for a second?
Sure, just a second. I was finding your walls.
Oh,
There you go. Oh, it doesn't arch over. You're right. There's the metal arch gate.
Yeah, but beautiful.
There are other examples in the borough, you know, over by 320 North Church. There's a great little development that has some arch, and it's from the 1970s, but it mimics that one on
Sure.
Cave Street.
Sure.
Okay, last comment. I think that the relationship between your center green and CJ's development, where it might seem that they're in conflict with each other, I think if detailed well, that could be a really wonderful moment. I think one of the things I'd love to see is that walk next to, you know, we call it Burger View, but that little development right there is so lovely to walk down. And you can see it's comparable in scale, right, to this courtyard that you're creating there.
Mhm.
And I think these moments where courtyards, it might detract actually if you were to push two courtyards next to each other, right? But the fact that you have this little potential passageway, and to your point earlier about the gate, this is a private drive. It's a private lane. Actually, there's no definition for this, right? Like they had to get all the different variances for this, right? It doesn't fit any of our standards. And technically, as a resident, you're on private property when you walk down it, and you kind of feel that you like lower your voice, and you know you're walking back, that you want to be respectful. And I think that there could be just really wonderful if you could, you know, maybe down the road work with them to open up a little passageway to, you know, walk through there. And to your point, there would be times when you wouldn't want that open to the public, but perhaps at times it could be. So
Yeah.
long-winded. I think it.
Yeah.
I think it looks great. Thanks.
Some really interesting moments in the space.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks, Thomas. Quentin?
Yeah, I think it looks awesome. I do have I think it matches, first of all, I think it matches the character of the borough well. And I do have a few comments, but is that bottom line, the bottom, that's a brick wall, right? The black line at the bottom,
yeah, but I don't think that's on our property.
is that not on your property?
Yeah, that
Okay.
might just be from the aerial.
Okay, so that back driveway is accessible to the public? Like that, like the body of the south?
Where it says Oxford.
Yeah.
Oxford Alley.
That's a public
Yeah,
alley.
it's down there, yes.
Yeah, we'd be utilizing that as an entrance, but right now it's only a 10-foot wide alley. So, well, I have it on another drawing, but it's we're making it an 18-foot entrance,
Okay.
18-foot wide entrance.
Great.
We'd have to move it down.
And then also, can you go back to did you ever think of like those bottom houses, those six? Did you ever think of like making them horizontal? I know you're deep in this already, but I was thinking like, when I was looking at this yesterday, I was like,
What do you mean by that?
like, so they're facing the alley instead of facing each other? I don't know, I thought that was,
To face
yeah,
the
face, yeah. and
So the
face-
alley makes a left, right? So the alley actually
Yeah.
doesn't continue, right? So this is the alley.
Yeah.
So you're saying they would all face south?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Oh, yeah, I guess they would, and then, like what Thomas said, it would fit if they actually connected that little alleyway through the middle.
So we
That would be
had a
awesome.
version of that, but I think, and then we kind of put a pedestrian muse.
Oh, okay.
And because they had to face, they kind of had to face, towards Burger View, but
Yeah.
I think one of the things that this does is by doing this, wasn't my idea, by the way, but by doing this, it creates this really nice corridor. So that would.
I think that's the
And
benefit
then I
of
think
having
the other
that.
thing is, if you load them back to back, then you see more cars.
Yeah,
So
that
right
is true,
now,
that
you
is
have
true.
Cars just on this, like, you'd be seeing cars there
And
cars
there,
So,
yeah. It actually,
Because like, right, when
It
you-
creates a place.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But
Cause
I-
there's some
yeah.
nice, like, this whole section here, you won't, like, there's no, like, cause all these cars are in garages, so when you're walking in here, then just, you won't be looking at cars right away, you'll be seeing
Right.
nice materials and.
We were also hoping that it makes it feel a little bit more neighborhood.
Yeah, open,
Like,
yeah.
it wasn't all built at once, but it was,
Gotcha.
because
Right.
it's not like a straight lines.
No, yeah, but I did like, your idea of like connecting it to that bottom alley.
Yeah.
That'd be cool, yeah. But, so I think it looks great, yeah.
I don't have anything really to add at this time. I mean, I agree, I share everybody's enthusiasm for this revised or totally different reimagining of this property. I think I appreciate the fact that you're following a similar exterior landscaping plan because we went through iterations of that already with the tree commission and the planning commission, so I appreciate that. I hope we keep that going on following those guidelines from the tree commission on the interior as well. To the extent we can, I know we have a 95% impervious coverage requirement, which I assume this will meet fairly easily, maybe with that courtyard being the 5%. But if we can, if there are some pervious materials we can use, I know on Washington, we had to do that to get to kind of to meet, well, almost meet code.
Keep in mind, these are gonna be open too.
Right.
And then in between here, there was space.
It's a landscaping, right?
And then along there.
It's landscaping.
Yeah, so
Those like each, correctly,
Well, just-
actually about 87, 88%.
Okay. Well, that's great.
We'll have.
But to the extent where, yeah, I just want to encourage, trees are great, pervious materials are great. Every chance we get, we want to kind of reduce or improve our stormwater management and things like that. And I guess, I think I have anything else. Obviously, we want to promote this kind of development to the extent we can. So we're already trying to address some of these things that Aaron brought up. But I think I don't need to tell you this because we have to take the utmost care in that exterior. When you show those plans, that critical view from the street coming north on High Street, coming south on High Street, they have to look good and they have to put trees on there and you can hide the building, maybe show two views, one with trees without, one with the brick, one with the trees and the brick. Because I want you to put your best foot forward when you show it, because I want this to be a home run for you guys and for the borough. So,
The point well taken. I mean, we are very committed. So.
yeah.
I think it hasn't been designed yet, so.
Understood. That's just a little,
It's gonna be brick.
yeah.
So we're committed to brick and not using vinyl siding. So those are two things I can tell, because have we looked at some really cool pictures? Yeah, we have, but we just haven't. That we're gonna take our time and really come up with some good ideas. And hopefully you'll think.
Yeah. I mean, little moments that you come up with, highlight those. I just want you to put your best foot forward, because we've seen plans that actually aren't that terrible if you show the trees with them or whatever it is.
100%.
There's just pictures we can do to help.
Lean into,
promote this
if you're
project, yeah.
doing arched opening through a brick wall, lean into these moments, because that's what forms the character of the borough. You know that,
Yeah.
yeah. But lean into it when you're showing it. It's not just, here's the building, right? Like, here's the building in context. You know, even like if you back up a little bit, so you see both sides, right? Like, what are the neighbors? You know, like, so you see both sides of the street when you show that.
Right,
that
to me,
helpful.
before, with all the large building projects, we got pictures that hid the context for very obvious reasons, because they looked like they dwarfed the entire rest of the neighborhood. This
is gonna
one should be
fit in.
highlighting the context because
Yeah.
it
Right.
should be fitting in. It looks like it will. And I will just note once more for the record, since we're being recorded, Aaron, thank you very much for this. I think we all said that, but I will formally thank you. This is what we try to do on a monthly basis, but your expertise helps us do it more efficiently, which all of us appreciate. So thank you.
Much appreciated. So yeah, I think this type of a development is exactly what the planning commission has been trying to promote. I think most important is the scale and scale relative to the context that it's sitting in and how consistent it is in both use. I mean, there's an owner occupancy element to this. These are single family, these are homes that individuals live in that are understanding what's moving in next door. I like the fact that these are individual units that are able to step down and kind of mimic the topography and keep that relatable. I agree, as opposed to a roof line that spans the length of the block, having the ability to kind of step down along High Street and kind of break down that scale and massing. I like the relief between the buildings, where that wall is. Like Thomas said, beautiful opportunity here, but it's a giant relief in a wall or a street front that was there. You're walking along that, all of a sudden there's some skies, there's some sun, there's some relief in that. It's a significantly more pedestrian friendly street line. I like the stoops, the front doors. I think how they
Yeah, that's
engage
gonna be
with the
huge.
street. I think if you're walking along that block as a fellow resident or a neighbor, that's there's more of a connection there. I think that's what's really successful and important about having a space like this center courtyard. This is what draws the adjacent neighborhood into this complex. It pulls it into it. It's not a wall. It's not a line. So I'll use High Street as an example. That's a wall. All right. We come into this side. This starts allowing that neighborhood and stuff to come in and create that space and create that place. And it's important that it's not just maxing out and filling out and checking a box and saying, all right, I got 42 units in here. We did 42 units and there's a lot of quality that's improvement to this from a scale standpoint. I like how it kind of minimizes and reduces the amount of parking lot. If you had just had that center alley running from Price to Dean and you got on Price Street and looked down that alley, you would just see 42 parking, garage doors. I think reducing when and how you see these little pieces, they're necessary, they happen. There's gonna be, there's always a back of house, whether they're condensing units or trash cans or whatever, these things happen. I think Bernie had pointed out at the smart growth that Shanahan was probably the last example of something at this scale, this many for sale homes that were being offered from a development standpoint, but also relative to how they addressed some of the public services, whether it was police, emergency vehicles, responders, or fire trucks, versus maybe the trash and stuff like that. So that has to be kind of looked at. But I really like the 5 building groups and the pedestrian, the ability to walk in and through that block now. And it doesn't create that big bulk, heavy mass to it. So use scale, owner occupancy, mixed offerings. I also like the fact that there's the opportunity, I call them duplexes, but those stacked units that you're offering something at a lower dollar point, as well as on Price and Dean offering something at a higher standpoint, and they're mixed in with each other. I like the roof decks. I think those pieces are very nice. They've given those opportunities, and you gave a little back there on the corner there, I think, which is a really nice public piece there. So I think really well done. I really like it. Mayor, you're here. I don't want to not have the opportunity to hear. Do you have any comment?
No. Two questions. So there's no like the area where the grass is between the two smaller ones, I guess are they smaller units? They're not as tall.
All the
Six,
units,
the six in the front,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the middle.
they're all about 37 feet high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those
So
will be
is,
two
is that like a
Yeah.
little courtyard there?
Yes.
That's a green courtyard.
Okay.
And but though in plan, you're looking at 6 units, there's actually 12. So there's 12 families facing that courtyard. But even if you're in another location, even if you're back your own price or something, this is still part of your, that's the identifier for your neighborhood, that your community. So it's still part of that.
So that was my one question, because I wondered about the, in lieu of the, whether you were using it or needing it, I guess is my question.
Our plan would be to submit that space and the space in the corner. The space in the corner, we showed some walkways and it was designed a little bit. It hasn't been fully thought out, but that space there is also another option.
Okay. And then my second question was, would this be styled similar to the ones that are already behind the Burger King, the brick ones, townhouses that you had, that was in one of the pictures that came up? Would they be
Yeah,
in that
so,
little
so,
alley there?
yeah,
It's called an alley, isn't
yeah,
it?
they're beautiful homes.
Yeah, they are. It's
We,
one of the jewels of new construction, I think, that and the one on West Market Street, those brick townhomes.
100% agree. Yep.
So I'm just wondering if yours is similar in style.
we haven't designed the exterior, like the look of them yet. But we are, like, those are brick. I don't think there's fiber cement on them, but we are.
I actually think go to the back. I think in the back it is actually vinyl.
Yeah. Oh,
So I think it's a similar, I think maybe in the back.
Oh, you're talking about,
Burger View.
Burger View.
sorry,
Yes.
I've already skipped ahead to West Market.
but Mayor, I just want to, like, we're committed to using great materials. We just haven't designed it. Like, what we actually do, we've already started to do it, is we'll look at some,
Yeah, the vinyl.
yeah, so they have vinyl. We're using a better material than that. But
But they do wrap the corners of their building in brick, and I think that's so critical. So
Yeah,
I
I think the ends of
Corners
the
are
buildings
wrapped.
being brick, yep,
It's essential.
So
3 sides
this
brick.
is a dumb question, but I'm gonna ask it. Those townhomes that were behind Burger King, was that development called Burger View?
It's the slang term for it.
But
I
it,
mean,
the
I
develop,
know some terms arise, so I'm like.
The
are you
develop-
really called
the
Burger?
developers did name it. That was CJ and Ray Ott. CJ Frederick and Ray Ott developed that back in the
Right, I
'70s.
developed it, but I never knew the name.
It took me a while to use it because I was calling it Adele Alley for a long time. And then Ray said, no, that's Burger View.
yeah, I started calling it Burger View and Ray.
Yeah.
That's
sad.
You're talking about Burger View, I'm like,
Lord, no, that's horrible.
I'm just like, really?
Maybe we need a
Is that right?
rebranding.
Not for long.
Yeah.
Do something better than that. Don't call it burger.
Well, once it's gone, we can call it something else.
That
I think it was
out of
tongue in
the bag.
cheek.
We'll call it whatever developer wants. Not sure how far we can go up there.
Oh, that's good.
We can almost see it
You
there.
can go in it, Bill.
Oh, how about that?
Okay. And yeah, those are the ones on.
That's a similar step.
Greatly done, nicely done, so, okay, thank you. That's all I had to say.
Very good, thank you. Lisa, I know you were at the Smart Growth presentation. Did you have anything to,
Nothing more, no, I mean,
very good,
I liked what I saw, so.
okay?
Given the options we've been seeing, I think.
Okay, very
Has
good.
anybody from the local group that you're currently in court with reviewed or commented on this? If you don't.
Yeah, I was asked that.
It's just smart.
Okay.
Yeah, we had, for the record, I think you guys know this, like, before this development happened, I reached out to CJ, despite the recommendation of my team. I met with him twice. And, you know, we are in court now, so I have not reached out to CJ. I'm happy to meet with CJ. When we were at the smart growth meeting, Nicole, I think, said, she yelled into or spoke into the microphone and said, CJ, call me. So I'm not, there's nothing to avoid. I just haven't. And I'm happy to.
So given if you continue through the court proceedings and you win and you get to do the apartments, then where does that put us?
Well,
Do you move forward with the apartments or do you
Yeah.
then?
very good question. That's why like the timing is important. Because we've gotten permission from an agreement with the landowners to move
Right.
forward with this.
Say that.
If this takes a year and a half to put through this, we would have had so much more money into the apartment defense that it just makes sense to move forward with the apartments. But if we can get this done in a reasonable time frame and get this moving forward, I have buy-in from them to do this.
And just forget the court case. It
Yeah.
not move to court.
Yeah, and we have, I'm sure you understand, I mean, it may not be, like, we live and breathe this, so I forget what's obvious and not, but like, and what I need to explain, so bear with me, but like, we have to continue to, even if you guys said today, we're 100% on board, I can't stop defending that
Right,
until we have
you can,
final approval on this.
right.
So even when I get to preliminary plan, maybe at some point I can stop between preliminary and final, but my attorney would probably say, Pete, wait till you get final plan. So you may be like, why are they doing this? But we kind of have to defend that plan because I don't have this plan. Now, one other comment I just wanted to make, we're kind of taking the approach with some of the things that Aaron was talking about. We were gonna come back to you with kind of like, let's spell out a way that townhouse developments can be done in the town center. Rather than maybe list a handful of the zoning issues, we may come back to you with like, here's like a way to do to be allowed to do townhomes, because right now we're not allowed, because of, I mean, I guess there's some arguments that maybe some type of townhouse could be done in the town center, but like, when you get into the Saldo, like, there's a whole.
But is that not your purview? I mean, you're correct that like Kevin, when I brought this exact point up to Kevin, he said no. And he was making a judgment call for his role that I'm translating this as this says, even though townhouses are permissible, this overrides it. Because that's when I brought, but you're now the new person in this role and you do have that.
Cases have shown that if you have something by right, that supersedes a note. Because that note could be misconstrued as being an attempt at spot zoning or making an alteration just for a specific case. And you have to think about what that means. If you have a specific definition stating that these are allowed by right, you can not then take away that right by a note. So you have to go with what is by right. And it's the letter of the law. So what that would intend to mean, that note meant to be used in mixed use situations.
Right.
These specifically state that it's single or double, to either one or two family, semi-detached or attached building cannot be used as a mixed use building,
Right.
period.
That's a building code thing.
Well, it's in the definition for the zoning.
I just mean it's both.
Yeah, they're both
yes.
gonna be doing it,
Right.
but in this case, the one we worry about
Yeah.
is the one in the zoning. Specifically says it's designed and used exclusively for residential uses.
So my only, the feedback that Brian's been giving me, And what you're saying makes complete sense to me. I'm not an attorney, but or a zoning officer, and it makes perfect sense. He's like, well, if you're gonna make this amendment, why not just address that? Because that's the situation where someone could stand up and say, I'm gonna sue the borough in court about it, even though you made a determination. But the borough made a determination on 3 things on my last plan, and we got sued on it.
Pete, did you get a copy of Aaron's writing? And then I would refer to that first page. When I'm reading this, what Aaron's written here, it's the semi-detached and attached single-family and two-family dwelling units are what is coming in as townhomes. This use are allowed for by right for this zoning district. So this is a by right development.
Yeah, no,
I'm agreeing with you, Pete. I mean, to me, we should be exploring some kind of change.
Well, to be honest with you, I think we should probably look at something. If we did include it, it would be just as, that would be for mixed use.
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe the text would just be that.
Addition of mixed use. I can understand that, just to get a clarification
Right.
on the two. I don't have a problem with it, but what I'm saying moving forward is yes, it might get picked up, but you have a better than 75% chance of winning that court case. And to be quite honest with you, if you want to come in and push a text amendment, I've given you the ammunition, you now need to win that too.
yeah,
But it's basically because when you do this, a lot of it is to the discretion of the zoning official. And they have to make a determination on what the meaning of that is, how they interpret it. They have to do it by the letter of the law or the letter of the zoning, not an intent. But when you have a conflict like this, you have to resolve it in a manner as which should take precedence. You have something by right means you cannot alter it by putting a note at the bottom of the text. So that would mean these are allowed, but then that text would apply on anything else that is not those type of developments. So that's what they were trying to achieve, but didn't quite get it with what they wrote.
But in that note, why wouldn't we just at the end of that sentence say for mixed use?
Let's do it.
Well,
Because the reason
there might be something else that goes into that.
okay,
Wouldn't
and
necessarily fall under the definition of mixed use, but I would say excluding those given by right.
okay,
it's like your comment on curb cuts too, like. I'm not sure, Brian was taking a stab at writing some of this. Some of these, what he's doing is he looked at your comments, and he was gonna propose some language for some of the text changes and, I guess I lost my train of thought, but my finer point with all this is we just know that we were sued on 3 things that were like, we just went down this path. And so we're looking at a text amendment that could make this allowed by right without, and try to eliminate some of those shades of gray. And the curb cut was one of them, like you brought that up. I don't know what we would propose here. We're only technically, we're getting rid of the curb cut. There's 2. We're going down to 1, but someone could argue, well, on Boxwood, we're widening it. So that's kind of a second curb cut.
It would be a second curb cut because you're taking out a section of curb, so it's.
You're actually taking one curb cut off of High and one curb cut off of Price.
Right, we're net 0 on curb cuts, but
That's what I mean, we need a definition of
Right.
that. And that, once again, sketch review, where we don't have to come up with any final statements, but it's to organize everybody's thoughts so they understand how this should move forward. So that's why I did what I did and I put what I did in writing. And we sit and review it and determine how you feel. If you feel like you want to come with the text amendment ready to go, then that will be reviewed. You can also understand that on that first one, our definition is going to be that you cannot supersede something that is given by right by using a text or
Okay.
using a note at the end of it. So if you were wanting to add that, then that's fine. But like I said before, I don't want us to have any prejudices yet. This is just to give information.
So it might be helpful to run this by Tom Esty, so,
Yeah.
we got a partner in that. I would prefer doing that and going with this opinion as to doing a whole new series of amendments to the ordinance that open up other issues.
I will tell you. the
That's
second-
what's happened in the past.
Next
We've tried to fix these kinds of problems with changes to the ordinance. Come back
Yeah.
very badly enough to bite us.
Okay. George, you have anything to add?
Oh,
You're perfect. All right, very good.
Hopefully you got paid. for this.
Thank you very much.
yeah,
Appreciate you both coming in.
yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate the work you put in behind it too.
You know that? I do.
Okay. So in reverse order, we're going back to old business. There are some open issues.
While they're doing that, I just wanted to share this with you guys. Apologize, well, you.
You guys.
Yeah.
The planning commission?
Yeah, planning commission.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't say you guys twice, I apologize. I wrote a staff report and some things that are occurring. One was what is going to be happening with the zoning committee, or zoning hearing board. I am required to report what is happening with that. And there are two appeals that are set up for September 22nd, not for August. That if they do anything on August, they would just be working on their application. The first one is at 531 Marshall Street. Owner wants to install a garage and driveway. They're seeking relief from dimensions and bulk regulations. This was continued from July of 2025. The 436, this is new. Brian Nagy submitted this for Grub Roads LLC. They are looking to they have a property that has a detached building. They're calling it a house, but it's technically a detached building with 6 apartment dwellings units. And they want to subdivide to create a separate lot that will allow for another single-family detached home to be installed there. They are going to be looking for variances for the side and rear setbacks and for lot 1 and the minimum lot requirements for lot 2 to allow subdivision and construction of a new single-family home on lot 1. So these might be things that you want to pay attention to at the next zoning hearing board.
This is really helpful. I don't think I've ever been aware of a report.
It's
from-
supposed to have been done, but wasn't getting done. So
Okay.
we started doing it this month.
Yeah, thank you.
So we now have something to plug into item number 4, reports.
Yeah,
And 210, 214 West Washington, they presented last month, or they came last month, did not present. But they are looking to make a determination as to whether they're going to a 6 unit or stay at the 8 unit and just seek a variance for the building lot coverage. They have asked for, and we have granted an extension to October 31st for their work. It was originally supposed to be done at the end of August. But because the zoning is not fleshed out on this yet, we needed to give them another extension. Any questions, by all means, feel free to give me a call. Let me know.
Very helpful.
Sorry, I just wanted to do that while.
That's fantastic. No,
that's
that-
great.
I appreciate that. And I'm assuming every month you're going to give us something like.
Yes.
And then we're free to come to these meetings then.
Yes, and they will actually be on the attachments and agenda next time. I just I couldn't. get time.
Fantastic. All right, we'll just get them as reports then. Makes sense.
I stayed up last night to do it,
Oh, thank you.
and I'm an old man, so after 10 o'clock.
Okay, so we're gonna back up and we're gonna review. We had two some open issues here. The first one was on the build to line. And so, and I think we want to talk about that one again in light of what we're seeing. And why that's important and what's important relative to the town center and versus the previous discussion we had. The existing ordinance for the build to was to match the adjacent properties. And then the side yard was to, again, to mirror that side yard. That was only exacerbating the issue. So if somebody was set off 10 feet, that would require you to be set off 10 feet, which would leave a 20-foot gap in the town center. That was not necessarily something that was intended to happen, but the way it's written, providing or matching that adjacent. So if it's 5 feet back, it's 5 feet on your side, leaves 10 foot and so on.
It's just a reminder, I also need to give reports, and normally I am on the phone with Carol ahead of time, and this is probably the meeting to do it with. I actually failed to do that this month, just, so you know, but 2 months ago, Carol's one note, Carol Quigley from the Harb, her one note had to do with that. She usually says no notes. But her note was, hey, you guys need to, or look at this step back requirement in the town center. It's doesn't follow our HARP guidelines. It seems as if it should be 0. I think I remember it was 0, but now it's this, you know, this confusion with side and front. So just as a reminder, HARP is also dealing with this issue.
Thank you. I thought we'd still keep it alive here and just make sure that we're having that discussion, because from what I recall and from that, it was, the idea there was to go back to a setback as opposed to a build to, and have that both to the front yard and the side yard in the town center only, and only revert that. And I think the only exception might be to add something if we at any request to take advantage of the height overlay, that maybe we add a little bit of distance on that front yard. So say, for instance, if it's 0 foot for 45 feet, maybe it's 5 feet for the 65,
Above 45.
yeah, above.
That makes sense.
So
That's common.
that-
You see that in a lot of
yeah.
municipalities. Yeah.
So that was my only thought on that. And then based on that, that was back when Jason was here, was where I thought we had settled in on it, and then went around. So I just wanted to bring that up if there was any thoughts now that we're seeing this, what we're talking about in actually, and where the opportunity has been taken, they're taking advantage of pushing right up to that right of way, and what happens to that. Now, this is not necessarily the typical town center property. I don't think any of the adjacent blocks, other than the one to the north, are town center. So.
No, I think, well, none of the blocks separate to the left, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. Well, did you have a proposed? Do you have? a proposal?
Well-
or like not a proposal, but like
I guess, well, this is not a voting session, but my
sure, but like a draft one.
my ask was that we did revert back to a 0 foot setback in the town center for the front and the side, except at the height overlays where we had a 5 foot setback. And that, unlike the build to, allows some flexibility with that, the building frontage,
Yeah.
to potentially have some step backs there for maybe seating or doorways or pocket parks or relief at corners or entrances or so on. Which I think doesn't necessarily stipulate either a percentage or a number or a point. But I think with the value of the land in the borough, the developers are looking to max those out. And if there was any other qualifiers, it would just be almost to describe the design intent, what that's for, so that we're not having parking or trash or things like that in the front yard. We're looking for the building. We're looking for the building to address the street. We're looking for that enrichment of that sidewalk. So
Bernie made a great point here a year ago, and he said, what do you do with these large buildings? They can do it by right. Maybe the best thing to do is plant large trees. Totally agree with him. So I wonder if that 5 foot should maybe be increased a little bit. You know, I think primarily we have 10-foot sidewalks, maybe 12 in the town center. So if you add 5 to it, it does accommodate the door swings. It does allow for a little bit more breathing room. But I wonder if it would be better. The tree commission, I'm sure, would want as much room as they can get for their tree species. So I wonder if it would be more appropriate for these taller buildings to have a little bit more space for a bigger.
Yeah, I was just
canopy.
throwing a number. I like 10.
Sure.
I like that the canopies on a 40-foot high tree, you're gonna be out.
Yeah.
a bit, so.
Just real quickly on this, what should happen is that you should have some outlines as to what you want to see with this ordinance amendment. And then we would need to have Kristen write the ordinance amendment for us. That would have to come back to be approved and
Mhm.
recommended to, probably would have to go through smart growth and then to you and then to council.
Sure.
So I just wanted to make sure if you're, after you get your discussions done, is to actually put something in writing.
Sure.
Stating what are the high points and where you want to see it. And that way we can get that to Kristen. If you send that to me, I'll get it to Kristen. And we'll start working on getting you a draft amendment that you can review and give us some feedback on.
Sure.
Yeah, that's.
So I wanted to
that
gauge
sounds
the
good.
temperature. I think Thomas and I are kind of on board to make sure, if that is or is not something you'd be, open to, right? Quentin, Matt, Alan, I know Steve's not here or Alex isn't here, but the idea of that. Is that something that, because if we have more than 4 out of the 7, then I feel comfortable
Sure.
moving that forward. If not, I'm not looking to,
I'd be a strong advocate for a final vote on this matter at our voting session, because I mean, honestly, this was Tom West's proposal that we're dealing with here, and I just feel like we've consumed a lot of people's time discussing it. And so let's get a solid idea. Let's bring it to a vote as to whether or not we want to propose something, and
And that like next week, right?
next week
Yeah.
would be a dream.
Yeah, sure. I love the dream.
We're not going to be able to vote on the amendment, the draft amendment.
No, but we could vote on like
Instructions,
starting. that.
guidelines to the
Yeah.
attorney to
Yeah,
begin
Yeah.
to construct it.
it's a pretty simple
And
app.
then just
yeah, well, right now,
try to
the,
get it off the agenda,
right-
try to get the item off the agenda.
Sure.
For,
Yeah.
future meetings.
sure. Well, just to be fair to Tom West, because I don't think we should continue attaching his name to it. This is not what Tom West was proposing. This is though this is a proposed amendment.
Jason is the one who brought it up.
Mhm.
Jason, because Jason was tasked with the build two
Right.
lines and he went back to the old zoning and saw that it wasn't in the town center. It was him and Ramsey talking about it.
Right.
That was actually after Tom
Right.
left.
So I think, just so you have the week to look it up, I think what we'll outline is 0-foot side yard, 0-foot front yard, unless the height overlay, it'll be a 10-foot, and there'll be setbacks, not build tubes. That should take away the arguments from developers, and it's gonna get us what we're looking for.
And I would point out 90% of the town center is probably that already. So that's what 90% of the existing town center is. So as far as like
Okay.
conforming or not.
And then we can say yay or nay or something,
Sure,
move that
yeah.
forward, so.
Cool. Are you gonna draft that? I guess it's, you just drafted it just now.
Sure.
Yeah, great.
Get that to me.
Well, after we vote, I just meant like, so then it's clear what we're.
I'm
voting
just
on
gonna
next.
just make it so we understand what
Yeah,
we're agreeing
perfect.
to. And that's just saying we're moving it forward to move. And then that's gotta go through its whole.
Yeah, it'd be great to get it off the agenda.
Okay, the rec space or fee in lieu, that was understood the last one to be being tabled. So that's what the meeting minutes said.
Mhm.
The preservation ordinance, that is something that,
So are you tabling space in the?
well, what Tom Esty or what the solicitor had advised us was that we wait until the park and rec was done their comprehensive plan for all the parks and recs so that they understood or the borough understood what we were dealing with relative to the entire borough in a big picture. And then be able to put some weight, not only some dollars on those fee and lieu's, but what type of spaces we presently have and what we might need and what the borough would like to accept as those.
Is it, so
So
Sure, no.
New fee, new fees have not changed since they've been instituted. And I understand in some places they go up every couple of years, and so it
Sure.
should be going up, not, you know, not being disbanded or
Sure.
reduced or.
Right. Well, I don't want to speak, I don't want to speak for the solicitor, but I'll say is the goal was to continue encouraging recreation space. And good recreation, useful, not like a little sliver of land that turns into a wheat patch.
But if I may say something, may I add one thing? I think what the solicitor is looking for is to find out exactly what would be needed for the capital improvements for the parks and so forth, so that if there are, how that would break down and whether or not, what increment the raises would need to be in those fees. So he was hoping to tie that all together so that we had enough information to make a good decision as to what that needs to be. That was from some discussions that I had with him, is that just
Okay, so then he's looking at it to see what kind of improvements
what
could be used
improvements
and
have
how
been
this
done.
in lieu of fee could be utilized, better utilized. Is
Correct,
that what I'm hearing?
correct. And whether or not increases need to be made or don't need to be made, or how it needs to be done. But it just will give us a lot better information before we move forward with this one.
But then we can revisit what the borough is asking and what percentage, and whether you want to
Okay.
increase that or whatever it might be.
Okay,
All right, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this item is on the agenda because of my enthusiasm toward eliminating 97A 1919.
Correct.
Okay. Nothing to do with fee and lieu. Nothing to do with fee and lieu. Just correcting an ordinance. I thought we discussed it at the last
We
meeting.
discussed it.
Now it all just seems to have vanished, and I don't know what the enthusiasm for keeping that swimming pool picture is.
No, we
I
didn't,
just
we
feel-
couldn't vote on it.
We didn't have enough people.
So we need.
No, but when you framed this,
Yeah, it's
you
true.
didn't
You
talk
framed it.
about
It's
what
two
the
different-
issue is. You gave us your opinion as to what we should be doing with fee and lieu. And I'm just advocating for, as I have the last several meetings, simple consideration to eliminate 97A 1919. And if it needs to be a separate item, or if it's being eliminated from consideration for some particular reason, just be so helpful if we could know that reason, you know?
I'm not eliminating it. I read the meeting minutes from last week before we attended this meeting. The meeting minutes say that the point was tabled, all right? So I brought that up as a starting point.
Okay,
Okay, I was asked the question. I'm gonna watch the video again. I don't remember speaking about fee and lieu. I'm not the one qualified to talk about fees, okay? What I am saying is our solicitor said to hold until that report's done. That's what I'm saying. Has nothing to do with a fee. Tom Estes
there
said,
was a conversation about doing a more broad
sure,
revision of the entire
Sure.
ordinance.
sure. And then that took place previously with Tom Comita and Aaron, right? And we did a really comprehensive one. And actually, I took it to Borough Council and I presented it to them. And then that's when it came bouncing back. Okay, so that's already gone all the way down the chain, came back here. I understand what your
Okay,
objection to that image is. I have an objection to that image as well, relative to what's called a public space. Okay, it's not a public space. What it's intended to talk about is recreation space. And again, I just want to be very clear. I don't like conflating terms. There's public space, there's open space, there's rec space. We're talking about rec space. Okay.
so we have devoted hours to this discussion.
Sure.
Okay. I'm just proposing that we put on the agenda for the voting session addressing eliminating 97A 1919.
Okay,
Would you allow that?
my concern is just eliminating just leaves an open hole there. I
Okay.
am
Really,
okay.
it's a yes or no question.
Well, it's not a yes or no question.
Okay.
I am okay with eliminating either the image and the statement underneath it that calls it
Yeah.
a public space. But I think we need to leave language in there that not only gives the legislative intent, but also the design intent of recreation space. I don't think we just eliminate that. I think at some point, the governing body, our borough council, is going to receive a report from Parks and Rec.
All
They're
right,
going to understand where we sit.
right.
At that point, so are we. On that, we can make an educated decision on how and what we want to do relative to bigger picture items as well as smaller picture. One of the smaller picture happens to be a big discussion point is those elevated courtyards and whether or not they are or aren't considered recreation space. You've decided it's not. That's fine. You can hold that 110%. I respect that.
I think it was a result of the guidance that we got from
Sure.
the solicitor.
That is,
His
that's,
interpretation of he
well,
helped us to understand.
I'll let him speak
the
for
ordinance.
himself. I'm just saying is what the Pennsylvania Municipality Planning Code says versus what the boroughs
Okay.
asking for. They have to sync up and be illegal. There's gotta be a
Why
basis
would
for
this
that.
not be okay to bring to a vote next week?
I can bring the picture and that sentence to a vote and we can eliminate that and that would clarify.
It would have been
That
two
sentence-
different, you want to keep that sentence.
So we are, yeah. We are conflating agenda items
Yeah,
now,
right.
and it's weird, because
Are
the
you
only
talking about-
issue that was tabled was the build to ordinance last week. The photo and the text, we agreed to vote on, we just didn't have a quorum to
Right.
do it.
Okay.
So
Right.
we were going to do it this month.
Right.
The issue with the rec plan and the fee is a separate issue and needs to be addressed after the rec plan is done. That part is correct. And we did talk about it, but Tom Esty didn't have any issue with us removing the photo and the text, and we all agreed that we would vote on it. We just couldn't do it last week because
Sure.
Steve left.
Okay.
So, I mean,
So I'm just requesting that be.
and I,
Sure.
yeah, and I.
Sure. And we're good with removing the photo and the text, but not all three paragraphs. All right,
I don't know how much more precise I can be than to say eliminate 97A 1919. That's what I'm proposing.
I think it would be great to vote on, because everybody hates that photo, including Tom. Tom put that photo in there years
He
ago.
does hate it because it's lived a long.
No, I think it's just a confusion thing.
That's all we can
Everybody-
yes, we can't eliminate that.
Yeah.
But he's not proposing 19, just
Borough
19.
council hates
So no,
it.
not these.
We all dislike it. I think it's just like a process thing, but everybody dislikes it.
Uses that photo as the reason why.
Yeah, so let's just get rid of the
I
photo.
100% agree.
Yeah,
So that,
let's vote on it.
next week, Alan,
Yes.
that'll be gone. Or we proposing, we'll vote on
I
it.
just begging for it to be on the agenda.
No worries.
That item alone.
That's on the agenda.
Thank you.
It's already.
I can't wait to vote on that one.
What's that?
I can't wait to vote on that one. Yeah.
We couldn't wait
Yeah.
last month.
There was only three of us
Oh,
last week,
okay.
right?
There was 4 of us.
And that,
Then
there
there
was-
was 3.
and suddenly.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, right.
I can't wait.
That picture
Can't
made
wait.
Stephen leave. I'm convinced. He's like, you won't vote me out today.
Yeah. So, you good, Alan?
I'm good.
We're good. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Preservation ordinance.
Rec has talked about that picture too. Getting rid of it.
Sure.
And they know. you
We've all
kind of
talked about it.
Waiting for, the other thing, waiting for that report to come out, and it's supposed to be very close.
But everybody will just love to know that we're all in agreement that we hate the picture.
Yeah.
Sure.
We don't know.
No, we aren't. Don't say
I
that.
think it's our enemy.
Jump on board.
I think it undermines what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it does.
It's our
You're right.
enemy.
It does, yeah. And a picture speaks 1,000 words and,
Yep.
yeah, right.
Okay, preservation ordinance. Thomas, we didn't have a chance, you've missed a couple,
Yeah, sorry.
been thinking, no worries about it. So what I would like to do though, is I think everybody, has received that really well. What I'd like to do is kind of hone that to be a little bit closer to, almost like the height overlay ordinances.
Mhm.
Almost where we say, hey, this is what we're looking for. In order to do it, we need to hit this, 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 and this. So almost in a format that we can then start understanding and moving it forward as a potential guideline for an
Yeah.
ordinance or ordinance amendment. So.
So I guess what I would love to do is, get permission from council or Smart Growth, whoever, to really engage with our third-party consultants. Because I think in a lot of ways, that's what we're needing to hear back, like, what's Pannoni gonna say about streets and things like that, you know? As a standalone building, infill building, I can see it being a simpler, you know, zoning change, but as soon as we're looking at Axle,
Yes.
what was it called?
It was Axel's the developer, but, yeah.
Yeah, whatever that development was,
Mhm.
or this one, you know, all of a sudden there are many other parts of the code that start getting touched upon. And so I think really what would be valuable is kind of in a more, you push back on this if you want, but you know, I think kind of where it is now, I guess my thought was really, it would be great to get our different consultants kind of looking at it and giving us a little bit of feedback on some of the street requirements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's your thought on that?
Well, I think the streets, I think is a good
Yeah.
conversation point, but then you can, that's because you're actually giving it some parameters there. We're talking
Yeah.
about the streets. It's the same thing. Where does this apply as a starting point? Like, is it, I know it's the Harb Overlay District,
Sure.
but that spans several, whether it's MC2 or NC1 or TC or whatever it
Yeah.
might be, over a couple of those.
Sure.
And I think the idea of,
You're gonna be NC1, NC2, T, you're gonna have B and TC.
Right, and so in some ways,
my
yeah.
point is somebody's gonna push back at some place and sometimes in some zoning districts, this does not quite make as much sense as other areas. So you're going down a street, it's a bunch of single homes that are 40 feet back.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden we're saying, hey, you know what we want? We want something all the way out to the sidewalk here, full street, corner to corner. That doesn't make a lot of sense. When I say it, there's got to be some type of a guideline that says, and how consistent and sympathetic it is to the adjacent and existing properties and
Right.
buildings there. Because that's really what we're trying to achieve. Is
100%.
trying to put something
right.
in there that looks like that's, of course, that's what should happen there.
Right.
And so, and doing it in a way, that then becomes like we talked before, a contributing resource, something
right.
with some quality, something with some durability, something that's 100 years from now still standing
That's
and
right.
is able to be.
True attainability is
Right.
old building. Yep.
Right. And so it's those pieces right
Yeah.
there that I want to be more exact with rather than at large. And then I think our consultants could maybe make comments on those. But I think right now it's so broad and where and when and how. I think right now it's a great idea. And it's, I think it's consistent with what everybody sees and wants
Sure.
to happen. And I'm just trying to figure out how to get it to something that can be implemented, how something that can be made into an ordinance, or an overlay district. And where, so in my head, where does that happen?
I wonder, so is that concurrent maybe with going to smart growth and saying, hey, because obviously to go to our third party consultants, they're gonna have to give their blessing on that. Can those happen concurrently maybe where
Sure.
we're kind of letting that influence how we do see shaping this and sharpening this potential?
While I think in a work session, we have the opportunity to have back and forth discussions that
Sure.
move something within the half hour
Yeah, that's
or
fair.
something,
That's
right?
fair.
So I don't want to just send it out there and not hear back from 2 months and then 2 months later come
No,
by and say, hey, it's a bad
100%.
idea. So
I wonder if they could come, if we could
That
get
would-
some of those
that would
consultants to
make
come
more
to a
sense.
work session.
Yeah, I think if we can have Nate or Kelly or somebody come to the meeting and have that discussion.
Yes,
If you're going to do that, then probably what would be best is to actually have this be the sole thing on the agenda.
Sure.
fair enough.
So that you can have a special work session if you need to, or work it out how you want, or just put it.
Yeah.
On the agenda. Couple of things I'm interested in is how are we going to interact this with other overlays, particularly in the TC, the retail district, the height district, and then there's other overlays that are going in. Whether or not there's any potential for additional overlays that you might be adding that might interfere with this or cause a massive confusion. So myself, I would personally probably be going through and doing what I did with the gentleman
Yeah,
Yeah.
today. But I would also want someone else, one of our zoning
Yeah.
people, or third parties to go through and make sure I'm not missing something.
I would imagine a special work session with some of our consultants. That'd be amazing. If we could get
Mhm.
Tom in there, and I know these
Sure.
people are expensive, so like, maybe we can try to keep it really efficient. But,
Yeah, we'd have to keep it down.
yeah, and I mean
Come
Tom
out with
Esty,
an
but
idea.
both of those Toms would be really
Minute or
valuable.
SD?
Both.
Both. But
Duo.
just try to get them to look at this and come with some pointers.
100%.
Sure.
Just what do we need to flesh out? when this
Exactly.
comes?
Well, I'm wondering, do you want to take a pass through this and do something almost
can
in
do
this
that.
format for us? And then we can,
And when
Right now I'm looking, there's some definitions that you need to come up with. Because in one of these you have down here, height max 3 stories. Well, you can
Committal,
define
like
what a
that.
story is, because somebody's gonna say, well, our definition of a story is this, you don't have a specific
this
definition.
is why I'm not even gonna respond to that, I want to do the roundtable.
Um,
Tom Committee's point was, we can't accept stories, so then we put in
Yeah.
feet. And he's quoting Leon Career.
well, if you were going to use stories, you have to have a definition behind it.
well,
Sure.
his was 15 feet per story.
Well,
Which
Leon,
is probably
Leon
put
Career
3
said
stories,
that-
we could just.
Leon Career said the Gothic Cathedral is 1 story. So there you
It
go.
is technically, but
That's actually fair enough.
that's why I said you need, that's why I said you need definitions.
Yeah, I totally
First,
understand. Totally agree.
definitions, and the second is, how is it going to fit with the other stuff that we already have?
Yeah,
Because
right.
you're gonna start having retail oriented overlays, height overlays, TNDs.
Exactly, and that's, I wanted to keep it loose until we could kind of get everybody together, because I think if we try to tighten it up before we can have some of
I
those
don't know if I can
consulting
have this next
expertise.
week, But I could have something
Oh.
like that next.
If it's gonna be a special work session,
Yeah,
let's just.
we don't need it for
punt
next week.
Yeah, no,
I can have it for next month.
Yeah, this is an.
that would be amazing.
Early stages here.
So you can ridicule me and pick on me as much. as
When I wrote it, I was thinking about, who's the gentleman that's been offering the zoning?
Yerkes.
Yerkes.
Mike.
That's what I was thinking. What I want is to start bringing Yerkes and the others in. Now, Aaron, you obviously are filling that role, and that's
yet.
looking forward to,
I'm advising, I'm not technically filming.
So Mike
whichever.
Kelly, Mike Kelly and Nate, yeah.
yeah. Perfect.
And then maybe Tom.
I think a special work session would be really good and efficient. Also keep their, like, the consulting hours down.
So I would have a suggestion, because I know this is a little different approach. I think keeping it broad makes that special work session difficult to keep efficient. This is how I work, so I don't know, I know not everybody works this way. I feel like the more detailed or the more complete ordinance amendment, draft, whatever you want, people love to mark up things that are written already and have ideas to add to it or revise or compare to the existing code. I know that's more work up front for someone, often you, Thomas, because you
Sure,
are
well,
the
I'm
expert
more
on
happy
this.
to.
But, and I'm not suggesting, I'm trying not to suggest
Yeah.
more work for you up front, but I do think a more complete draft would be easier for the consultants to review and comment on
Yes.
than coming with just broad ideas, because
You know what?
I'm starting from a broad
Yeah.
idea. That's not efficient. He's a
Sure.
great storyteller, but it will take a long time to get
You're
there,
absolutely right.
I think. So that's just my
Yeah.
What I can
suggested
do
approach.
is let me go through and put up my reviews on it. I can get that to Thomas and to the rest of you. You can work on fleshing it out from there and to see how much fuller that becomes and whether or not we need to get fuller, you
Right,
know.
right.
But I can get that to you before
Mhm.
next month.
I wonder if what would be even more helpful, and I'm more than happy to do this, is basically take, what are these places that we love in our town? Right? Here is this plan. I can draw it to scale and I can give dimensions on it, right? So then it's like, we love this courtyard or this, we love this development. We love Burger View. And I was already planning on doing that if we all got together.
Right.
That was actually part of the reason I was not getting in the text, because text gets messy.
Understood.
Let's bring in these plans and say, why can't we do this today with the consultants? Because then we can all look at that and say, well, why can't we do Burger View today? Well, it doesn't front a street. Well, what's the definition of street? What are our street requirements? Let's get up the saldo. We have so many code requirements.
Alley is another word for street.
You know what's amazing is that if you look at the,
It's in the definition.
and they were put like for the first like 75 years or 100 years of Westchester, if you look at the street log, it says street or alley. And they were kind of using them interchangeably. Yeah,
Still isn't interchangeable. The
Well-
definition both in Saldo and zoning.
there you go.
So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Either way, I think if we come in with plans, that might even be more helpful than trying to like nuance the text so
Well,
that
let
we
me
can
ask you,
put it up there.
What
Yeah.
you're talking about is a first crack at that by Aaron, who can answer all the questions. Why can't we do that? he will tell us why.
Mhm. Sure.
Then we come after that review to the bigger group.
So I would say that building and zoning, that like covers some. I brought this as like my little cheat, or I brought this, I don't know if it's be applicable. You can look at, here are so many of these different codes, right? That, and if you're gonna do development in Westchester, we're talking about a ton of different codes, even from the building code point of view, right? We could even be hypothetically in 3 different code lands. And then you keep going. So what would be applicable if you wanted to build under this ordinance we're talking about right now? Yeah, zoning's in here. We have fire safety. We've got obviously the building code. So then when we're talking about like, okay, well, what's your setback, you know, and what about a door over here? And what about, when we started this preservation ordinance, it was really a mandate from the comprehensive plan saying, this is our objective. And we think that preservation and new development can go hand in hand. And who's looking out for the character of the borough? Okay, pages of all the codes, right? And zoning is just like one little piece. After this thing gets built, we have a page and a little bit more of all the other ordinances and chapters that deal with that, right? So we have a noise ordinance, we have a property maintenance code, a trash and recycling. So we just have like the laundry list of these different things that apply. And I say that all to say that like, there's gonna be some street things that like, I think getting Tom and some of these others in here too. I just think we need
I don't
everybody.
disagree with any of that. I just think when we started this, we didn't have Aaron.
Oh.
And I think
Yeah, he's gonna make this so much better.
initial pass through would capture
100%.
not everything, but a lot of it. So it just might make it more efficient
100%.
when we bring it to the big group. But that was just my thoughts.
I think you're
Some
right.
of the things I might bring up, other people may shoot down and say, no, that'll be addressed by this, or that'll be.
Sure.
And we're not gonna be able to go past building codes, and depending on how it's done, whether it's gonna fit into townhomes, 3 or more townhomes, then you go to IBC. If it's 3 or less, then you're in IRC. If you're in, single family homes, then you're in IRC. If you're in a single family or 2 family homes, you're IRC. But if you get to a 3-story that has 3 separate.
Local jurisdictions do make
You can
definitely
make it-
different, even interpretations on that one with the 3 or more, for example, because you can do an IRC modified, you can
You-
sprinkle it in different
you can.
ways and
You can adopt certain things and not
Yeah.
adopt other things. But once again, you're getting into a lot of the little, how this is going to.
but the devil is in the details, or
It is.
God's in the details,
It is,
according to
but-
Beast Vandero.
The zoning part has to be done first, and then we have then.
Fair enough.
And sure.
Yeah,
The overview, get it closer.
Yeah, so I think,
I
I think we're all saying the same thing,
Totally
now,
agree.
so I think we're good.
Yeah.
We'll get the pass through. Okay, 700 South High Street. It's a nice presentation. We have Alan's 2 pages of comments. Do we need any other additional ones, or, because I'm assuming that's
It's in the meeting minutes. His comments are attached.
right.
All the other comments are in there, but
So is your thought then, are we waiting till after the neighborhood presentations, or there was an extension given, right? And then based on that, they were gonna meet with some of the neighbors or neighborhoods, and I don't know if we were going to.
well, Tom Estee, as documented in the minutes, suggested we only had one consultant's review letter at the time.
Mhm.
So he suggested we wait to vote until we were able to review all the consultant review letters. I don't think we've gotten any more in. I mean, I haven't seen any, but I don't get them first.
But at least,
But
we could vote after we've seen a presentation, which we have now
correct.
seen. I think it would be really good if we could go on the record with some reaction to it. I mean, fundamentally, I think it comes down to the bullet points of, I mean, in my mind, there's probably a proposal to support the plan with these conditions, and then there's a conversation over what the conditions are, or, but
Yeah, it was unclear to me what the motion would actually look like for a vote, because I'm not sure we brought up any, I don't know that any of our comments would have been conditions of the master plan. Because we're gonna still review each development. Well, and I'd have to go back and look through.
I'm
You-
concerned because
Yeah.
we are on the record
Yeah.
as having an opinion about this without a vote. And I think that is something that I think every voice on the commission should be heard, you
Mhm.
know, and I think we should go on the record with what we have.
Oh, I agree. I just wasn't sure what that, how broad or detailed that motion.
Yeah.
Or our motion would look like, and we can decide that next week. I guess my question for that is, has everybody gotten a chance? I guess right now it's just Quinn and Thomas that weren't here, to view that presentation.
Yeah, I skimmed through it a little bit,
Okay.
yeah.
I've only read through it, but I can, I
Oh, I
did not
watched
watch it
the
yet.
YouTube.
Yeah,
video.
okay. That, I was just curious to see who.
I'll just put on double speed.
Yeah.
Oh, it definitely can. Absolutely. I was just curious. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had agreed that we were gonna vote on something,
Mhm.
this month, so. Just didn't know what that would look like.
Perfect.
Lisa.
I think Nicole was just suggesting or wondering if you would want to wait until you heard what the residents had to say, and that might spark some things for you all to include in your overall vote on. Either one, or maybe you're not interested in what.
Well, I think it would be my view that what we would want to do would be to express a formal opinion that reflects the thoughts of the group. And one of the conditions could be a revisit after we get the feedback from the neighbors, which I agree is very important. But right now, we're on the record with something that we never voted on.
Right.
That's the problem.
That'll be added to the agenda for voting this next week.
Yeah, sure.
All right, is there any other issues? Thomas? Alan?
No.
I guess the only thing we didn't touch on was the meeting minutes from July. If anybody had any additional comments, I got Alan's, I got his notes added on as an attachment. But if anybody had any comments on those, I didn't hear from anybody else, so. And then the June ones, we just got to remember, we got to vote on that
We're,
next week.
Yep.
That has to be on the agenda, because we didn't have a chance to vote on that, because we didn't have a quorum for that either.
Correct.
Just those two things.
very good. Agenda, July and June. Okay, I think that's it.
A reminder that we have a lot to vote on this week, so for next week, so make sure you're here.
Very good. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
And,
When,
Yeah,
you gonna be here next week?
yes, that will.
Great.